What happens when American automakers get pickup trucks completely wrong? Today, we're counting down the 10 worst American pickup trucks ever sold in the United States. These are the trucks that disappointed buyers, destroyed reputations, and became cautionary tales in automotive history. We're not talking about minor flaws here. These are trucks that failed spectacularly at being, well, trucks. From bizarre design choices to catastrophic reliability issues, these vehicles proved that even legendary manufacturers can miss the mark. Number 10. 2004 to 2012 Chevrolet Colorado. Starting our list at number 10, we have the 2004 to 2012 Chevrolet Colorado. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't this a decent mid-sized truck? Well, not these early model years. Let me paint a picture. When these trucks launched in 2004, they were supposed to replace the beloved S10, but what buyers got was deeply disappointing. The biggest problem? Weak engines that couldn't deliver on the promise of a real pickup truck. The base 2.8-liter four-cylinder produced just 175 horsepower. That's barely enough to get the truck moving, let alone tow anything meaningful. The available inline 5-cylinder was better, but still underwhelming for a vehicle wearing a Chevy or GMC badge. But the problems didn't stop at power. Owners reported persistent quality issues throughout the truck's early years. We're talking interior materials that felt cheap and fell apart quickly, electrical gremlins that plagued the dashboard, and build quality that simply wasn't up to GM standards. Number 9. 2003 to 2004 Dodge Dakota. Coming in at number 9 is the 2003 to 2004 Dodge Dakota. Now, the Dakota nameplate had been around since 1987, and many of those earlier models were solid mid-sized trucks. But something went terribly wrong with these specific model years. The 2003 Dakota represented a complete redesign, and unfortunately, it was rushed to market with serious issues. The most notorious problem? Transmission failures. We're not talking about minor hiccups here. Owners reported catastrophic transmission breakdowns, often well before the 100,000-mile mark. The automatic transmission would slip, refuse to shift properly, or fail completely, leaving owners stranded. And here's the kicker: replacing a transmission isn't cheap. Many owners found themselves paying thousands of dollars in repair bills on a truck that was supposed to be reliable. But wait, there's more. These Dakotas also suffered from engine problems, particularly with the 3.9-liter V6. Cooling system failures were common, leading to overheating and, in some cases, complete engine failure. Ball joint failures were another recurring issue, creating dangerous driving conditions. Number 8. 1994 to 2001 Dodge Ram 1500. Now, before Dodge fans start typing angry comments, hear me out. Yes, these Rams had bold styling that revolutionized truck design. That iconic big rig look turned heads everywhere. But looking good and being reliable are two very different things. These second-generation Rams were plagued by serious quality control issues. The automatic transmission was once again a major weak point. The 46RE and 47RE transmissions were known for premature failures, particularly when used for towing, which is exactly what you buy a full-size truck to do. Dashboard cracking was so common that it became legendary among Ram owners. The plastic dashboard would crack and warp even in moderate climates. Walk through any parking lot and look at Rams from this era. Chances are you'll see cracked dashboards in most of them. The front suspension had persistent problems too. Ball joints would wear out prematurely, tie rod ends would fail, and owners found themselves replacing front-end components far more often than they should have. These aren't minor repairs, they're safety issues that cost hundreds or thousands of dollars to fix. Number 7. 2003 to 2011 Ford Ranger. Number 7 on our list is the 2003 to 2011 Ford Ranger. Now, the Ranger had been a compact truck staple since 1983, and many earlier models were excellent. But by the 2000s, Ford had essentially abandoned the platform, leaving it to age without significant updates while competitors moved forward. The biggest issue? Ford stopped innovating.
While Toyota was constantly improving the Tacoma and other manufacturers were developing better engines and features, the Ranger languished with outdated technology and design. But that wasn't even the worst part. These Rangers suffered from significant timing chain problems, particularly with the 4.0-liter V6 engine. The timing chain tensioners would fail prematurely, causing rattling noises and, in severe cases, complete engine damage. This wasn't a cheap fix, often running into thousands of dollars. Transmission problems were also common. The 5-speed automatic transmission would experience harsh shifting, slipping, and premature failure. Manual transmissions weren't immune either, with clutch and synchro issues reported frequently. 6. 2003 to 2009 Hummer H2 SUT. At number 6, we have the 2003 to 2009 Hummer H2 SUT. Now, calling the H2 SUT a pickup truck is generous. It was more of a lifestyle statement that happened to have a tiny bed bolted to the back. Let's start with the most obvious problem: fuel economy, or rather, the complete lack of it. The H2 SUT achieved a jaw-dropping 10 miles per gallon in the city and 13 on the highway. In an era of rising gas prices, owning one of these was like setting money on fire every time you drove to the grocery store. But the terrible fuel economy was just the beginning. The H2 SUT was based on GM's full-size truck platform but weighed over 6,400 pounds. Despite this massive weight, the bed was hilariously small, measuring just 5 feet long. You couldn't haul much more than groceries, making it nearly useless as an actual pickup truck. The towing capacity was disappointing too. Despite having a 6.0-liter V8 producing 316 horsepower, the H2 SUT could only tow around 6,000 pounds. That's less than most half-ton trucks that weighed significantly less and cost much less. Build quality was questionable for a vehicle with a starting price over $50,000. Interior materials felt cheap, and owners reported numerous squeaks and rattles. Electrical problems were common, including issues with the navigation system, power seats, and various sensors. 5. 2003 to 2006 Chevrolet SSR. Coming in at number 5 is the 2003 to 2006 Chevrolet SSR. The name stands for Super Sport Roadster, and this retro-styled pickup truck was one of the strangest vehicles Chevrolet ever produced. Let me be clear, the SSR wasn't built to be a practical truck. It was designed as a nostalgic hot rod that happened to have a tiny bed. But even by those low standards, it failed to deliver. The most obvious problem? The bed was almost comically small, measuring just over 4 feet long. You couldn't haul lumber, you couldn't haul motorcycles, you couldn't haul much of anything, really. It was a pickup truck that couldn't do pickup truck things. The price was absolutely outrageous. When it launched in 2003, the SSR started at over $42,000. That's serious money for a vehicle with such limited utility. By 2005, when Chevy added the more powerful LS2 engine, prices climbed to nearly $50,000. For that kind of money, buyers could get a real sports car and a real pickup truck. Performance was disappointing in the early models. The 2003-2004 SSR came with a 5.3-liter V8 producing just 300 horsepower. That might sound decent, but remember, this thing weighed over 4,700 pounds. It was heavy, slow, and not particularly fun to drive. Chevy tried to fix this in 2005 by adding the 6.0 LS2 V8 from the Corvette, bumping power to 390 horsepower. This helped, but it also drove the price even higher and couldn't overcome the SSR's fundamental flaws.
Number 4. 1982 to 1984 Dodge Rampage. At number 4, we're looking at the 1982 to 1984 Dodge Rampage. This front-wheel drive car-based pickup from the early 1980s was one of Chrysler's most misguided experiments.
The Rampage was based on the Dodge Omni compact car. Yes, you heard that right. Dodge took an economy car and tried to turn it into a pickup truck. The results were exactly as underwhelming as you'd imagine. First, let's address the elephant in the room: front-wheel drive. Pickup trucks are supposed to be rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive for a reason. Front-wheel drive severely limits towing capacity, payload, and overall capability. The Rampage could barely tow 1,000 pounds, making it useless for anything beyond hauling groceries. The bed was tiny, measuring just 6 feet long but extremely narrow. The overall payload capacity was only around 1,000 pounds. That's less than most modern crossovers can carry. Power came from a wheezy 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine producing just 84 horsepower. Even by early 1980 standards, that was pathetic. The Rampage was slow, noisy, and struggled when loaded with even modest cargo. Build quality was terrible. These were built during Chrysler's darkest days in the early 1980s, when quality control was almost non-existent. Rust was a huge problem, with the body and frame corroding rapidly. Finding a rust-free Rampage today is nearly impossible. Number 3. 2014 to 2016 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Number 3 on our list is the 2014 to 2016 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Now, this is going to upset some Chevy fans, but hear me out. The Silverado is typically a reliable truck, but these specific model years represent one of the worst generations Chevrolet ever produced. The 2014 model year is particularly notorious. According to multiple sources, including CarComplaints.com, the 2014 Silverado 1500 received over 250 problem reports and 19 recalls. That's absolutely unacceptable for a brand new truck generation. The most infamous problem? Air conditioning condenser failures. This became such a widespread issue that it spawned multiple class action lawsuits against General Motors. The AC condensers in these trucks were poorly designed and would crack and leak refrigerant, leaving owners sweating in the summer heat. Here's what makes this particularly frustrating. The condenser is located right behind the front grille, making it vulnerable to road debris. But the real problem was the cheap, thin material GM used. Owners reported condenser failures as early as 20,000 miles, and some trucks had multiple condenser replacements. The repair cost? Between $1,200 and $1,500 every single time. And because GM refused to issue a recall, owners were stuck paying out of pocket unless they were still under warranty. Online forums are filled with angry Silverado owners who've replaced their condensers 2, 3, or even 4 times. But the AC problems were just the beginning. These Silverados suffered from serious transmission issues. The 8-speed automatic transmission would shudder, hesitate, and shift harshly. Some transmissions failed completely, requiring full replacements that cost thousands of dollars. Number 2. 2000 to 2004 Subaru Baja. At number 2, we have the 2003 to 2006 Subaru Baja. Now, Subaru fans, please don't send me hate mail. I know the Baja has a cult following, but objectively speaking, as a pickup truck, it was a spectacular failure. The Baja was based on the Subaru Outback wagon, and it looked like someone had taken a Sawzall to the back of a car. The styling was polarizing, to put it kindly. Most people found it awkward and confused. The bed was laughably small. At just 41 inches long with the tailgate up, you couldn't fit a standard sheet of plywood or 4x8 lumber. Even with an extender, functionality was severely limited. This made it almost useless for typical truck duties. Payload capacity was only around 1,000 pounds, and towing capacity maxed out at 2,400 pounds. Compare that to any real pickup truck, and you'll see why buyers were disappointed. The Baja came standard with a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine producing just 165 horsepower. That's underpowered even for a car, let alone a vehicle pretending to be a truck. The turbocharged model offered 210 horsepower, which was better but still not impressive. The real problem was identity crisis. The Baja wasn't practical enough to be a real truck, but it had given up too much car functionality to be a good wagon. It fell into an awkward middle ground that appealed to almost nobody.
Number 1. 2005-2010 Chevrolet Avalanche. And finally, at number 1, we have the 2002 to 2006 Chevrolet Avalanche. Now, before Avalanche owners start defending their trucks, let me explain why this takes the top spot as the worst American pickup. The Avalanche wasn't a terrible vehicle per se. It had some interesting features and capabilities. But as a pickup truck, it failed spectacularly because it tried to be too many things at once and ended up being mediocre at all of them. Let's start with the most obvious issue, that plastic body cladding. Chevy covered the lower portions of the Avalanche in black plastic panels that were supposed to be durable and low maintenance. In reality, they faded quickly, looked cheap, and became a defining characteristic that many buyers hated. It made the truck look like a toy. The midgate system was Chevy's big innovation, a removable panel between the cab and bed that allowed you to extend cargo space into the cabin. Cool idea, right? Except it was complicated, leaked water, rattled, and many owners never used it because it was too much hassle. The bed was short, just 5 feet 3 inches, even when the midgate was closed. When you needed to haul standard 8-foot lumber or other long items, you had to open the midgate, sacrificing rear seat space. So you either had a short bed or no rear seats. Not ideal for a family vehicle trying to be a truck.